From being OnlyFans creators to pushing boundaries to gain fame and fortune, these creators have entered into big scandals that could have ruined their careers, if not their lives. From the craziest to the cringiest, these are the most infamous OnlyFans scandals that have set the internet ablaze, starting with Bonnie Blue's 1,000 Men stunt. Bonnie Blue's name became synonymous with controversy when she attempted what many would call the unthinkable, a self-proclaimed world record for sleeping with over 1,000 men in 24 hours. It was a stunt that left audiences divided, with some applauding her audacity and others recoiling in disbelief. But for Bonnie, it wasn't just about the numbers. It was about making a statement. The question remains, did she succeed? Or did she lose more than she gained? The stunt was announced with little warning, instantly sparking curiosity and outrage in equal measure. Bonnie framed the event as a groundbreaking achievement, one that would push boundaries and redefine what people thought was possible. For her fans and supporters, it was going to be a form of defiance of societal norms. For others, it was a dangerous, reckless act disguised as empowerment. The debate only fueled the fire, drawing more attention to the event than Bonnie could have anticipated. Set in an adult entertainment venue, the logistics of the stunt were as jaw-dropping as the concept itself. A rotation of willing participants lined up, each one reportedly agreeing to be part of the event. Cameras captured the setup, but whether for documentation or promotion wasn't entirely clear. Bonnie, undeterred by the controversy, appeared energized, ready to take on the challenge she had orchestrated. For her, this was more than a stunt. It was her shot at infamy. The 24-hour marathon began amidst a media frenzy. Whispers of disbelief echoed through social media platforms as spectators questioned the legitimacy and morality of the act. The event was met with an avalanche of reactions, ranging from genuine fascination to outright condemnation. Some viewers joked about the absurdity, while others raised concerns about safety, exploitation, and the mental toll such a feat could take. Bonnie, however, remained unapologetic. In interviews before and after the event, she maintained that this was her choice, her body, and her rules. However, as the hours passed, even her supporters began to feel uneasy. The physical and emotional demands of the challenge were evident, yet Bonnie pressed forward, determined to finish what she had started. By the end of the 24 hours, Bonnie had reportedly reached her goal, though the veracity of the claim remains disputed to this day. What wasn't up for debate, however, was the fallout. The stunt became a media sensation, dominating headlines and sparking countless debates on television, radio, and social media. It was labeled as exploitative and irresponsible, while questioning the participants' motives and consent. Even some adult entertainment professionals distanced themselves, calling the stunt a damaging feat. For Bonnie, the aftermath was both a victory and a loss. On one hand, she had achieved a level of fame few could rival, and, on the other, she became a controversial figure, her reputation forever tied to a stunt many considered too extreme. Titus Lowe's obscenity charges. Titus Lowe, a name synonymous with controversy, rose to prominence as Singapore's most well-known OnlyFans creator, amassing a dedicated fan base drawn to his bold and unapologetic content. But in a country known for its strict moral and legal codes, his online fame would soon collide with an unrelenting justice system. For Titus, it all began like it does for many creators, with a desire to connect with an audience and carve out a niche in the growing world of online content. OnlyFans, with its promises of creative freedom and direct access to fans, was the perfect platform. Titus quickly gained traction, his confidence and polished presence setting him apart in the sea of creators. But what made him a star in one part of the world would soon make him a target in another. Singapore, known for its meticulously regulated social norms, has strict laws governing the distribution of explicit material. While platforms like OnlyFans have flourished in other parts of the world, their content conflicts with Singapore's legal framework, which criminalizes the distribution of obscene materials under its penal code. Perhaps emboldened by his growing success, Titus didn't see himself as breaking the law, but as pushing boundaries in an industry that thrives on doing just that. However, authorities saw things differently. The first signs of trouble surfaced quietly. In late 2021, complaints about Titus's content began circulating, drawing the attention of Singaporean authorities. What started as whispers soon snowballed into something much larger when law enforcement launched a formal investigation. For him, it was a moment of disbelief. His work, which he viewed as a form of personal and creative expression, was now being scrutinized under the harsh lens of legality. In October 2022, the situation had reached its boiling point when he was charged with transmitting obscene materials through electronic means, a direct reference to the videos and photos he had shared to OnlyFans. The trial itself was a spectacle, with every detail dissected by the media and public alike. Titus appeared in court, his usual confident demeanor replaced by a more subdued and contemplative presence. During the proceedings, prosecutors laid out their case, citing specific instances of explicit content shared by Titus and emphasizing how these acts violated the nation's penal code. The defense argued that platforms like OnlyFans are subscription-based, meaning users voluntarily access the content, making it a private exchange rather than a public distribution. But the court was unmoved. In their view, Titus had knowingly operated outside the bounds of Singapore's strict laws. The verdict was swift and unyielding. Titus Low was fined 3,000 Singaporean dollars. Though he avoided jail time, the penalty outweighed its monetary value. But even as the legal dust settled, the repercussions rippled far and wide. Supporters of Titus rallied around him, using the case as a rallying cry for greater freedom of expression in Singapore. Critics, however, saw his conviction as a necessary reminder that no one is above the law, even in the digital age. Bethan Guy's blackmail scheme. Bethan Guy's name may not have been familiar to most outside her OnlyFans audience, but one scandal catapulted her into a spotlight far beyond the platform's usual reach. It wasn't for her content or her online persona, but for a blackmail scheme that nearly landed her in prison. The story began innocently enough, or so it seemed. Bethan had been in communication with a married man whose identity was kept hidden during the trial to protect his family. What transpired between them behind closed doors was the kind of secret many people hope never comes to light. But in this case, it wasn't just whispered confessions or hidden text messages. Bethan saw an opportunity, one that would blur the line between personal boundaries and criminal intent. Somewhere along the way, Bethan allegedly began to leverage the man's marital status against him. Whether it was a calculated move or a spur-of-the-moment decision remains unclear, but her demands were clear. Pay €10,000, or she would expose their relationship to his wife and the public. The stakes were high for the man, who was understandably terrified of the fallout. But instead of giving in, he made a choice that turned the situation on its head. He went to the authorities. The subsequent investigation revealed a trail of evidence that painted a damning picture of Bethan's actions. Text messages, emails, and recorded conversations were brought into the light, laying bare the extent of her demands. For the prosecution, it was an open and shut case of blackmail, a crime that carried the potential for a lengthy prison sentence. When Bethan appeared in court, the media frenzy surrounding the case was felt. Headlines referred to her as the OnlyFans blackmailer, a label that reduced her entire identity to a single act of desperation. The courtroom was filled with tension as the prosecution presented its case, meticulously detailing the timeline of events and the psychological toll her actions had taken on the victim. Bethan, once a confident and charismatic online personality, now sat subdued, her future hanging in the balance. The defense, for its part, attempted to paint a more nuanced picture of Bethan. They argued that she had been under immense financial pressure and that her actions, while wrong, stemmed from a place of vulnerability rather than malice, but the court was not swayed. The evidence was overwhelming. Bethan was convicted of blackmail. Her sentencing, however, came with a twist. She narrowly avoided prison, receiving a suspended sentence instead. The fallout from the case was swift and brutal. Bethan's OnlyFans career, which had been her primary source of income, took a severe hit as fans and followers distanced themselves from her. But perhaps the most striking aspect of Bethan's story is what it reveals about the human cost of fame and ambition. In her pursuit of financial security, or perhaps notoriety, she crossed a line that forever altered her life. The blackmail scheme may have been rooted in desperation, but its execution left a trail of damaged relationships and shattered trust. Today, Bethan's name is rarely mentioned without the shadow of her scandal looming overhead. While she has attempted to rebuild her life, the stigma of her actions remains a constant reminder of the choices she made. Courtney Clenny's alleged murder. Courtney Clenny, widely known as Courtney Taylor, was a rising star on OnlyFans and social media, captivating millions with her fitness tutorials, modeling shots, and glimpses into a life of luxury. However, in April 2022, her carefully curated persona was shattered when she became the central figure in a case that shocked her fans and the world: the alleged murder of her boyfriend, Christian Obumseli. It was a relationship that, from the outside, seemed picture-perfect. The couple shared glimpses of the life together on Instagram, radiating the kind of chemistry that made them appear inseparable. But behind the glamorous facade lay a relationship riddled with turbulence. Neighbors, friends, and even law enforcement were aware of their frequent arguments. For months leading up to the incident, police had been called to their Miami apartment on multiple occasions for domestic disturbances, though no arrests were made. The tension between them seemed to escalate in private, unseen by the followers who adored the public image. The tragedy unfolded on April 3, 2022, when police received a frantic 911 call from Courtney, claiming that Christian had been fatally injured in their high-rise apartment. When officers arrived, they found him laying on the floor with a single stab wound to the chest. He was rushed to the hospital but succumbed to his injuries shortly after. Courtney, who had made the call, was immediately detained and questioned, but her story raised more questions than it answered. Courtney insisted that the stabbing was an act of self-defense, a desperate response to Christian allegedly attacking her during an argument. She claimed that she had feared for her life. However, the evidence began to paint a different picture. Surveillance footage from the building's elevator, recorded just days before the incident, showed Courtney appearing to attack Christian unprovoked. The case took another twist when details about the couple's past began to surface. Friends and family of Christian described him as a gentle and kind-hearted individual, casting doubt on Courtney's claims of self-defense. Meanwhile, Courtney's behavior in the days following the incident drew intense scrutiny. Just hours before Christian's death, she was reportedly seen at a bar in Miami, seemingly unbothered by the tragedy that had just unfolded. The images of her casually drinking with friends went viral, igniting public outrage and questions about her sincerity. By August 2022, Courtney was formally charged with second-degree murder with a deadly weapon. Prosecutors argued that the evidence pointed to a pattern of aggression and control, painting Courtney as the primary aggressor in the relationship. Her defense team countered, maintaining that she had acted out of fear during a moment of life-threatening danger. As the case unfolded, the media frenzy around Courtney intensified. Her social media presence, once a source of admiration, became a battleground for debate. Supporters rallied around her claims of self-defense, pointing to the complexity of domestic violence cases and the difficulty of determining who the victim truly was. Whether Courtney's claims of self-defense will hold up in court remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: her life will never be the same again. Chloe Mae Frankish. Chloe Mae Frankish's story was supposed to be like any other: a fun trip with friends, a quick getaway, the kind of experience you might share on social media with a cheeky caption and a carefree smile. But what started as an ordinary flight on EasyJet would spiral into a public spectacle, leaving her reputation and her future in pieces. The incident unfolded on a seemingly normal day as Chloe and a friend boarded a flight to Alicante, Spain. What should have been a routine journey took a dramatic turn when their behavior quickly raised eyebrows. Passengers described the pair as visibly intoxicated, their loud and disruptive antics making it impossible to ignore them. For some, it was an annoyance. For others, it was unsettling. But no one could have anticipated how far things would escalate. When the flight crew intervened, asking the pair to calm down, tensions only grew. Words were exchanged, voices raised. It didn't take long before the situation became uncontrollable. The captain made the call to remove Chloe and her friend from the plane. As the two women were escorted off the flight, the atmosphere grew even more charged. What should have ended with an uncomfortable walk back to the terminal exploded into a scene worthy of a tabloid headline. Police officers arrived to manage the situation, but what they encountered was far from routine. Chloe's friend was tasered after resisting police instructions, and, in a flash, Chloe's behavior turned from disruptive to outright combative. Witnesses watched in disbelief as she lashed out at the officers, her drunken state only amplifying her aggression. As the situation unfolded, passengers who had been inconvenienced by the disruption were quick to document the scene, their smartphones capturing every moment. Within hours, footage of the incident began circulating online, quickly going viral. Chloe's actions, however, carried consequences far beyond social media infamy. Arrested and charged for her conduct, she was thrust into the public eye in a way that no OnlyFans creator would ever hope to be. Courtney Doyle's nightclub assault. Courtney Doyle, better known by her online persona Scottish Barbie, had built her OnlyFans presence on glamour and audacity, her polished image of confidence and allure captivating thousands. But beneath the curated snapshots of nightlife and luxury was a different story, one that came crashing into public view during a chaotic night in Glasgow. The night started like many others for Courtney, who was a familiar face in the city's club scene. Known for her unapologetic personality, she often commanded attention wherever she went, whether it was from fans, friends, or curious onlookers. But on this particular night, what began as an evening of celebration quickly spiraled into infamy. Courtney was at one of Glasgow's buzzing nightclubs, enjoying the kind of revelry she frequently documented on her social media, with drinks, music, and an electric atmosphere. But as the hours wore on, the line between enjoyment and excess blurred. Witnesses reported seeing Courtney in an increasingly erratic state, her fiery personality giving way to aggression. The confrontation began with an exchange of words between Courtney and another woman at the club. What exactly sparked the conflict remains unclear. Some suggest it was a misunderstanding, while others hint at a long, simmering tension. But what followed was anything but ambiguous. As tempers flared, Courtney's aggression escalated. In the heat of the moment, she lashed out, physically attacking the woman. Bystanders scrambled to intervene, pulling Courtney away, but the damage was done. The victim was left bruised and shaken, while Courtney was escorted out by security. The incident could have ended there, but the fallout was just beginning. For someone who had cultivated an image of bold confidence, the reality of the situation stood in contrast. Within days, her social media accounts were flooded with comments, some expressing disappointment, others outright condemnation. Courtney found herself thrust into a media frenzy. Her name splashed across headlines as the Scottish Barbie, who let her temper lead her into a courtroom. Courtney faced charges of assault and stood trial for the nightclub altercation. During the proceedings, the court heard testimony from witnesses who described her behavior that night. Courtney, known for her striking confidence, appeared subdued and reflective, offering little defense for her actions. The court found her guilty, and she was convicted of assault. Though she avoided a jail sentence, the conviction carried significant weight, not only legally, but for her public image.